Hello, America. Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. This is indeed where men and women from around the world gather in defense of liberty. I am your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. Like Thomas Paine, who on January 10th, 1776, in Common Sense wrote, "We have it in our power to begin the world over again." And here we simply need to begin America over again. Get back to our constitutional republic instead of the quasi-communism that has been embraced by this illegitimate regime. So where to start? How about this, folks? Ukraine. You know, during World War II, 50% of Ukraine sided and fought with Nazi Germany. Did you know that? Ukraine, who we're sending billions of dollars to, right? Because this is the good war. The Ukrainians have a hit list of their enemies, which they want to assassinate. And would you believe it or not, Americans are on that list, such as Jack Posobiec. He's on the Ukrainian kill list. He's the most recent one that's been added. But also, he's not alone. Let me see some other names here. Tucker Carlson, they want to get rid of him. Elon Musk, Glenn Greenwald, and I believe Tulsi Gabbard and Rand Paul, and there's others too. So we're funding a government in a war, and this government wants to kill Americans that don't agree with the war. Journalists. Can't make this shit up, can you? Ukraine adds Jack Posobiec to its kill list. Ukraine is targeting for death Americans because they don't like their choosing not to support the Ukrainian war. We're funding Ukraine that is openly saying they will kill Americans. That is some effed up shit, my friends. U.S. debt passes $33 trillion for the first time. You can't, the numbers are in a blur. Added $1 trillion in the last 90 days, folks. Number one line item in the budget going forward is interest on the national debt. The debt is at the point now where it starts consuming itself, and we already have runaway inflation. We're going to go into Venezuela, Weimar Republic level, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Weimar Republic, Argentina level insanity, where our currency is worth nothing. You've seen Tucker Carlson was in Argentina to interview a conservative right-wing guy that's leading in the race, I think, for president. I'm not sure what position, a leader of the country. And anyways, Tucker took $100 and went to what they call a cave to exchange it for pesos. So I gave him a $100 bill. They gave him a brick, bricks of pesos, because they're in yesterday it took this many pesos, a brick of pesos, this high, to exchange $100, and a week later it takes this much, and so on. That's what hyperinflation looks like. Story in the Weimar Republic, I don't know that it's not true, probably is, of a little girl had a basket of cash. This heavy basket of cash, right? Deutschmarks or whatever their currency is in Weimar Republic. And she sat it down in front of a storefront to look at something in the store window. And when she turned around, the cash was dumped on the sidewalk and the basket was gone because the basket was more valuable. Not good. Oh, let's see. Regarding the crashed $80 to $100 billion state-of-the-art F-35, Brian Larkin said, somebody shared this post on Telegram, Green Hills Software Company produces the Integrity 178B operating system that powers the F-35, the F-22 Raptor, F-16, and B-2 stealth bomber. It also powers the Airbus A380. It was also quite possibly leaked. Now you understand why the entire United States military air fleet has been grounded for 2 days. And by the way, the CEO of Green Hill Software is none other than the infamous Elon Musk hater Dan O'Dowd. I've seen the crash site they showed of the F-35. I'm not sure. There's some burnt ground, a couple acres. I mean, maybe it is. Okay, maybe it is. But I'm wondering now, was the aircraft hacked to where instruments weren't working? The pilot hits the autopilot, ejects, which, is not something you want to do unless you absolutely have to. You're setting on an explosive device, okay, a rocket under your seat that blows you out of the airplane into 300-mile-an-hour headwinds. Any pilot that's went through that says they don't want to do it again if they live to tell the tale. So something fishy there, folks. But he could be onto something. Says he believes that this software was leaked that is behind operating system in our F-35, F-22, F-16, B-2, and Airbus A380. So I think there's a reason they grounded the airplanes for a couple days. The swamp, the rhinos, the military-industrial complex, and the uniparty bastards, Kevin McCarthy is the leader of that group, by the way, is kicking and screaming for a continuing resolution of the status quo, even if it's for 30 days. Fund the Ukraine war, fund Big Pharma, fund the military-industrial complex, fund the socialist state. But Matt Gaetz has led a rebellion, and they won. McCarthy said their 30-day resolution, led by Byron Donalds, by the way, kind of sucks that he's involved in this, said that it's not going to go up for a vote now. So we're winning. We're winning the battle at the moment. Thank you, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz simply wants, see if this makes sense to you folks, single subject spending bills, okay? Because you know how it is. You put out a spending bill, let me think of something, for a lamprey weir to keep lampreys from going into Lake Michigan. And inside of that is funding the Ukraine war, or, 50 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, or, whatever. You know how it works, right? It's not pretty. So he wants a single subject spending bills. So you vote on it up or down, okay? Each item. That way there's not, this pork barrel shit in every bill, or worse. I mean, a lot of times it's pork barrels simplifying it too much. A vote on term limits, okay? I think we're all for that, being we have a cyborg in there, and people that are being wheeled around in wheelchairs, breathing oxygen. Look at Joe Biden. Career politicians is destroying this country. A vote on a balanced budget amendment. Imagine that, that they would have to vote on a balanced budget amendment. Full release of the January 6 tapes, like McCarthy said he would do, and stop spending at the insane COVID level spending we are at the moment. Those are all reasonable requests by Matt Gaetz. Who wouldn't vote for that? That loves America, that has some common sense and wants to save the country from financial ruin. Charlie Kirk, this was just breaking, he shared this regarding Ray Ebbs. The DOJ, they're going to get Ray Ebbs, right? Charged him with a misdemeanor. Basically, they gave him a speeding ticket. Nearly 3 years after January 6th, Ray Ebbs is finally charged with, what is the charge? Not seditious conspiracy, but, quote, disorderly conduct. That's right, the man who yelled for people to storm the Capitol, who was videotaped multiple times actually trying to incite a riot, somehow avoids seditious conspiracy because he's a Fed, with no terrorism enhancement, while people who never entered the Capitol are rotting away in D.C. jail. And, Ray Ebbs was a leader in Oath Keepers. It's a Fed implant, a Fed plant. I was talking to an attorney last night. I went to a Republican Party meeting at Frisky's Orchard's new building. Beautiful, by the way. And they had a speaker there that wants to abolish property taxes in Michigan, okay? Axe Michigan taxes. No more property taxes. And it's doable, folks. Everybody will say, how will you fund the schools in Michigan? The school system in Michigan, you know, the Marxist indoctrination camps, you know, public schools and state education indoctrination, is $22 billion a year is Michigan's budget. Only $2 billion comes from property taxes. Completely doable. But I was having this chat with this retired attorney, probably, you know, I'm guessing close to 80 years old. He told me a story. It was quite interesting, and it kind of relates to Ray Ebbs. Just last night, he told me this. Back when there was the big Michigan militia with Norm White, I can't think of what his name was, the leader of the Michigan militia. Patriotic group, by the way, folks. Said there was this Mark, Mark from Michigan, he referred to him as, that was in the group, you know, had joined, no one knew where he was from, and started showing pictures of, said, look, they're smuggling, Russia's getting ready to attack, they're bringing tanks into New Orleans, Russian tanks. And he showed photographs, you know, of these tanks coming in. Well, when they looked at them closer, they were American tanks with a Russian logo on them, a Russian flag. So it was bullshit. So he said, then, this was interesting, folks. I'd like to have a long chat with him where we could really talk details. But he said, then Mark from Michigan showed up. Remember the Merle Federal Building, the Oklahoma event out there? He showed out with, Mark from Michigan was involved with that group out there. And the one person they weren't allowed to talk to, you know, after the Merle Federal Building was destroyed, was Mark from Michigan. Mark from Michigan was a Fed. They get in these groups and they conspire to start shit and get them to do stuff. You know, they incite these things that they shouldn't be doing, like the Whitmer kidnapping case. I mean, it's like 18 people in this Wolverine group, and 15 of them are either feds or Fed paid informants. And they hatched the whole group. You know, all of it was BS. And they were just found, 3 of those men were just found not guilty here in Michigan, or in Antrim County, Michigan, because we know a Fed setup when we see one. What else we got here? Donald Trump, you know, he is a brilliant he is a brilliant guy. I love our president. Donald Trump to skip second debate. Why would he go? He's 40, 50, 60 points ahead of everybody. To hold rally with the Detroit striking auto workers. So that's going to take the wind out of the sails of the second debate. And I believe Trump wants to talk to the auto workers that you've got to stop this insanity of going to all electric vehicles, because they're not going to be built in America. And the big 3 and, you know, Motor City, Detroit, will be absolutely destroyed. It will be the end of the one of the great industries of America. Paul Sperry says, developing, President Biden failed to report more than $5 million in income in his sworn financial disclosure for years 2017, 2018, and 2019. Happens to be when the money was flowing into the Biden crime family from China. Seems like a pretty big deal, doesn't it, that you forget to put $5 million on your sworn financial disclosures? Imagine if Trump did this, folks. Joe Biden demands, I hate Joe Biden. I loathe the man. I've never liked him, ever. He is a low-life piece of human excrement. And anyways, Joe Biden demands $24 billion more for Ukraine. You know, Zelensky's here grifting the country right now. But just came out and said he will veto the defense bill because it would give a pay raise to junior troops, E1 to E6, from $22,000 a year to $31,000. Joe Biden loves Ukrainian troops. hates American troops. Commander-in-Chief of America, folks. So here in Michigan, I want to share this, folks. And actually, everybody needs to hear this because this is the Republican swamp front and center, okay? This is, Steve Kara sent me this, a solid conservative House representative here in Michigan. He sent me this earlier, this article, which he's in. This is from Big League Politics. Michigan House Freedom Caucus leader Steve Kara exposes Rhino-led hiring discrimination scandal targeting conservatives. Michigan House Freedom Caucus Chairman, State Representative Steve Kara, Three Rivers, Michigan, if you're wondering his area, held a press conference on Tuesday morning to expose a discrimination scandal in which Republican leadership is colluding with Democrats, it's a uniparty, folks, to manipulate staffing decisions and keep conservatives from working in the state capitol. It's been a problem forever, folks. If I ran for a House representative and I got elected, I would want to hire people I know and trust to be on my staff. Can't do it in the swamp. They tell you who your staff is. So right away, you're infiltrated your office. You can't trust these staffers. I promise you can't trust them. Ask Cindy Gamrat and Todd Cursor if you can trust the staffers. Kara explained how House Minority Leader Matt Hall, Republican POS, by the way, is refusing to approve his staffing decisions, crippling his ability to serve his constituents and defend freedom effectively. Hall is using his pull with Majority Leader Joe Tate, Democrat Detroit, to keep conservatives out of crucial staffing roles. This is how the uniparty works, together to force their controlled hacks into positions of authority. It's how the uniparty learns what the conservatives are up to. They put human bugs in their offices. As the radical left continues to embrace tyranny and central planning, the Republican Party needs to inspire voters to vote based on principle. The trajectory our leadership is on is the wrong course. Make no mistake, the Democrats are moving rapidly to the left and are destroying our state and country, but Republicans, rhinos, are complicit when they also shift to the left year after year, Kara said. Kara is pushing for reforms that would make it so all House members would be hired by their bosses. The way it should be, folks. Simple stuff, right? Right now, leadership in Michigan legislature gets to approve all hires and can remove staffers at any time for any reason, giving them undue control over elected officials. Kara aims to shut down this gatekeeping process and allow state representatives and senators to handle their own staffing decisions without having to grovel beneath party leadership. We will never end the uniparty swamp in Lansing, Michigan, and trust me, it's as bad as Washington, D.C., until we fix bullshit like this. But it gets worse, folks. It gets worse. The libertarian-leaning legislature also called out the House Republican Campaign Committee, HRCC, the PAC, tasked with getting Republicans back into power in the State House in 2024. The HRCC made a controversial decision. Get ready for blood to shoot out of your eyes. When they appointed former Governor Rhino Rick Snyder and globalist billionaire Bill Parfet, P-A-R-F-E-T, not sure if I'm saying that right, as their fundraising chairs for the upcoming election. Rhino Rick Snyder, so you know, endorsed mush-brain puppet Joe Biden for president in 2020. Not Donald Trump, not our nominee, Joe Biden. And this Parfet endorsed COVID genocide engineer Gretchen Whitmer for governor. So they put two rhinos to raise money to elect Republicans. One endorsed Joe Biden and the other one endorsed Given that Rick Snyder endorsed a Democrat for president in the United States in 2020 and is now leading House Republican campaign committee efforts, is he willing to commit by the end of this week to supporting the Republican nominee for president in 2024? Question mark. Kara asked at the press conference that question. Kara says, if so, I'd like to unite to help make sure Republicans win up and down the ticket and that we stand strong on the Republican Party platform. If he is not, I'm asking him to resign. He needs to resign, period. Because he would do funny money. Oh yeah, I'll endorse the Republican nominee, and then none of the candidates we want will get any money. Okay, he's got to resign. Okay, folks, that's all I got. I'm trying to think. Azerbaijan is fighting now on the border with Armenia, I believe it is. The Middle East, you look at, war is everywhere. And we're going to get sucked into boots on the ground, World War III, if we do not remove Biden from office. Democrats now are calling. I mean, they're caving because they know he's such a terrible candidate. And when they look at the polls, it scares the bejeepers out of them, okay? I don't know who they're going to replace him with. Kamala, would she be any cackling Kamala? Is just, look at, I don't know if you saw the meme. I don't know if I shared it or not, but it's got Barack Obama, holding the puppet strings. And on one hand is Kamala and the other one is Joe Biden. So they need to both go, but I don't know. Just being honest with you, folks, I don't know if we survive till Election Day. If things don't change for the better really quick, and they're leading us to World War III, right? Do you see anybody from the Biden regime, any of these globalists, saying, "Hey, we need to get in this stupid war and the 500,000 Ukrainians dead, 2 million wounded, Russians dead, blowing stuff all to hell. We need to really put together a peace deal. Let's get Putin and Zelensky and let's hammer out a peace deal." Anybody even hinting that they want to do that? No. And Trump has made a pledge. He will save us from World War III. He's the only one talking peace and common sense. China is preparing for a hot war with the U.S. In the South China Sea. Maybe China said, "Hey, wonder if we can run the training mission of an F-35. Let's see if our idea that we can, bring them down with a cyber warfare could work." I don't know. But I'm telling you, we've been compromised. This fifth generation warfare, whatever you want to call it, unconventional warfare. It's just not tanks and guns and people on battlefields, folks. It starts in chat rooms, pushing the communist agenda, tearing down America, building up our adversaries, stealing our intellectual property, buying our politicians, compromising our government, buying land in America, setting up shop here, sneaking their armies across our southern border. As so we're in World War III. We're just not into the hot war with with Americans, but it's coming. If things don't change, it's coming. The draft boards are all in place. They've never got rid of the draft boards. They meet every year across the country. All Joe Biden has to do is flip a switch and say, Ukraine, this war is so important for humanity that we need to send boots on the grounds, and we haven't been meeting our quotas, and I'm bringing back the draft. For that to happen, they need to win people over with the idea of it. And they don't have it right now. And so, I think there's a big false flag coming. Pray to God I'm wrong, right? We didn't want to be in World War II until Pearl Harbor. We didn't want to go to war in the Middle East, right, or anything until 9/11. They knocked down our buildings. Remember 9/12, how the people were united? They want to pull off an event that has that kind of result. I think it's going to be tough because I think we're kind of all on to their games. My advice is keep prepping, keep praying. Praying is the most important prep. They're both important, but becoming a Christian is the number one prep. Accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior, because we all have an expiration date and we're going to live beyond that forever. Just a matter of where you're spending your time. And anyways, keep prepping, keep praying, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless. See you. Bye.